Right on. So the topic of the presentation, the meeting today, will be the coordinated entry procedures for ESG grants in the Westchester COC. We had originally, I think, mentioned at the end of our last ESG provider meeting that this meeting would cover documentation compliance. As Craig just alluded to, that will be covered next month. This month, we're going to talk about coordinated entry. Next slide. All right. So as you all are aware, coordinated entry is required for all ESG projects. All ESG participants have to be referred to the project by coordinated entry before services can be provided. And ESG CV was temporarily exempted from coordinated entry, but that exemption ended 15 months ago. I don't think any ESG CV projects were operating in Westchester during the exemption. So all ESG and ESG CV here is covered by this coordinated entry requirement, except for street outreach, emergency shelter, or emergency homelessness prevention, which locally is defined where the eviction is pending within 3 days. But all other ESG, which includes all rapid rehousing and all homelessness prevention, where the eviction is more than 3 days away, must have a coordinated entry referral. So we're going to talk about how that's going to work today. Next slide. Okay. So as we talked about already briefly at the last meeting, we have been working to build a referral pipeline from DSS district offices to ESG projects, to your ESG projects, with the idea that most Westchester residents that are in distress, that are facing eviction, present at the district offices. And so that is the largest group of potential referrals. But that pipeline is not meant to completely replace any other sources of referrals that you have established. So we expect that there will be, once eviction moratoria end, especially there will be large number of referrals coming from the district offices, but you can still gather clients from other pipelines. They still need to be enrolled in coordinated entry and then referred following the same procedures we're going to discuss, but not everyone doesn't have to first be identified by a district office. For instance, if someone comes directly to your agency office looking for homelessness prevention or other or financial assistance, you can your agencies can enroll them directly into coordinated entry and then inform Joe Marie and Latanya that there is a new person in coordinated entry who is eligible for ESG. The district offices will be pre-screening for ESG eligibility with the idea that they'll be using ESG funds, especially ESG CV funds, which there's a large amount of and all have to be spent in the next 12 months as a first resort before other available eviction prevention funding from the state and county. Next slide. So this flow chart, which will help the district office staff, hopefully, keep that in mind, because anybody, if you follow that the decision tree there, anybody who is below 50% AMI and meeting HUD definition of at risk of homelessness will end up referred to ESG, and it's only if their income is too high or they are not at risk of homelessness, or they live in Mount Vernon and are not youth or DV, will they then be screened for ERAP or other funding. Next slide. All right, so the process that will occur at the district offices then, which hopefully will be set up within the next couple of weeks. The district office line staff will be trained on the 23rd, I think. Is that right? But so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it should start. The district office staff will pre-screen for ESG eligibility when a customer presents as needing homelessness prevention assistance, and they will have them sign the HMIS release and a ESG applicant information sheet and refer them or send them to the co-located staff from Cluster and WRO at each of the 4 district offices. Cluster and WRO will build on the information in that first ESG application sheet to do a more detailed screening for ESG, and if the household is eligible, enroll the household into coordinated entry in Client Track, and let Joe Marie and Latanya know that there is a household waiting for an ESG referral. Those referrals obviously can go to any ESG project that has an opening, not just Cluster or WRO. They'll be screening people for ESG in general, not just their own projects. Next slide.
One thing to add, Yoav, just for everyone to be mindful that, again, Cluster and WRO, they're co-located in our offices, so they'll be the main point people for customers that come into our district offices. However, the time could come that we have so many referrals in the DOs that they're overwhelmed, they're not able to manage that volume, in which case we would send those referrals out into various agencies to help with that process of entering folks into coordinated entry, and then we'll go through the referral process from coordinated entry to the agencies. So right now, again, Cluster and WRO, they will be the point agencies for people who come into the DOs. But if the volume is too high, then we will need assistance from the other agencies involved in ESG.
Yeah. So this is a illegible view of the ESG applicant form that we were just referring to, that will be filled out by the client and the district office eligibility team. It includes why the person is eligible, because how they meet the at risk of homelessness definition, and what their amount of income below 30 or 50% AMI, and then what assistance they need, rental arrears, rental assistance, or financial assistance. And this is the HMIS release form, which most everyone is familiar with. Craig, I think you're taking over.
Yes, sure. Continuing with the referral process. Once the referral is made in coordinated entry, the provider agency must then acknowledge the referral in HMIS and make contact with the customer within 48 hours. Within 2 weeks after the referral is made, the ESG provider agency must accept or deny the referral. If the provider agency determines that a customer qualifies for ESG, they will accept the referral in HMIS, enroll the household in their ESG project, and begin to provide services. If a customer does not qualify for ESG, the provider agency will deny the referral in HMIS, complete and upload a coordinated entry denial form, and alert the CE staff. The CE staff, again, would be Latanya, Jo Marie, and even myself. Next slide. Again, we apologize for the size of the slide, but this is, we'll get you these documents. This is a copy of the CE denial form that will need to be completed and uploaded into HMIS if in fact you guys determine that the customer is ineligible for ESG funding. Next slide.
You could go back a couple slides. When the coordinated entry referral is made, your agency will get an email from the coordinated entry team letting you know that a referral has been made. And then you can go into the system to acknowledge, and then text should be there that you'll then have 2 weeks to accept or deny the referral, making contact with the client. And the denial form asks you just for the reason for why the person isn't being provided assistance. Thank you.
Outcome. If a customer is denied the ESG, for ESG, the CE staff will alert the referring district office line staff. So once you guys give us a upload the denial form and notify us that a customer is then denied, we will then notify the district office staff, because that means the customer will probably need to reapply or some alternative will be needed to help them to get the services that they need. If a customer is accepted for ESG and receives funding, the amount of funds distributed will be recorded in HMIS, and the provider agency will notify the CE staff. So if in fact the customer is accepted and funds have been distributed, it is extremely important that that information is documented in HMIS. It should have been part of your training with Daniel Gore, but if there's some question about how to do that, please reach out to us or please reach out to Daniel Gore. The CE staff will then alert the referring district office staff of the outcome. Again, we want to notify the district office staff that customer X got $2,000 for rent arrears, so that they're in the loop and they're aware of what's happening with the customer. These are our contact information. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to us with any questions, any thoughts, any suggestions that you might have with this process. Latanya is going to be the point person for many of you guys with referrals, with questions that you might have, but I'm available, Yoav is available with any additional, Jo Marie is available as well with any additional questions or information or assistance that you guys may need. Our next meeting, we're going to have a moment of, some time for questions and answers, but just so you guys are aware, we will be meeting again on October 5th at 11:30. You guys will receive the invitation to cover documentation requirements for homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing. Any questions? Do we have any questions in the chat? We can start with that. Latanya, any questions in the chat?
So far, there's no questions in the chat. Feel free to write any questions you might have in the chat.
Any questions you guys want to?
Sure.
Will these slides be made available to us, emailed to us?
Sure.
Yes.
I don't see I don't see a problem with that, John. And also the slides will be, the presentation will also be uploaded on the COC website where we have all our other trainings.
Any additional questions?
Perhaps if we ended the recording, we would have more questions. We can end the recording.